Hi, so welcome back. Today we are talking about the 2014 Toyota Corolla. This is our real video, the real review, and well, if you watched our real first impressions, no, the wind has not gotten any better out here at Real Auto Ranch. But we're going to go in depth in this car, we're going to jump in the driver's seat and tell you what you can expect with living with this car for a little bit more than the short time period we did in the first impressions. So let's jump in this LE Eco package and take a spin and see what it has to offer the motoring public all new for 2014.
All right, so we are in the 2014 Toyota Corolla. This is not just any Toyota Corolla, no, and it's definitely not your father's Toyota Corolla either. It is the LE Eco, and the LE Eco is a special car because it's kind of this new package they have that allows you, like some of the other manufacturers, to get a little bit more fuel efficiency. But I guess I just like the way that Toyota packaged this one, and that is why I asked them if I could specifically review this one as opposed to any of the other all new, totally redesigned Toyota Corollas that came out for 2014. So here we are, 2014 Corolla. What is there to say? Well, I think the first thing is that just my perspective on this car. The previous outgoing generation, I'm sure it was okay. I was just never a fan. I think it was a good compact car, but I would have preferred to look at something like a Honda Civic, even though I didn't, maybe love the redesign they did a few years ago, but the newest one definitely speaks to people. The Ford Focus, that car has really been doing things by leaps and bounds, and definitely the Forte from Kia that we've reviewed and the Hyundai Sonata, all very well put together cars, and makes this compact car four-door segment a real competitive area. In fact, we even just looked at the Nissan Sentra, which would compete with this. So where does this all-new and redesigned 2014 Corolla fit from a detailed perspective? How you would live with it and drive and go and do things. This is a neat car, and I like it. I like it a lot because I think it is the most forward-looking from a design perspective that Toyota's produced, and I think it shows where Toyota is going. If you look at our first impressions on the Highlander we just saw with Toyota, and you look at the RAV4 we reported on last year, and late in the year with the Real Video, and you just take a look at where Toyota's going, it may put some people who are diehard Toyota fans in a slightly uncomfortable zone because they are changing the perception of the brand. But I think it's in a good way. These cars are still super reliable. The quality control and the resale values on these cars are great. And I am starting to really like, and I use that word too much, but I'm starting to take a nice view on the interior design of these Toyotas. So I like this dashboard. I like this soft curve in the dash for the hump. I like the soft touch and the stitching accent. Even though it's not contrast stitching, you've got this lovely stitching accent along the dashboard. You have the again, this kind of satin silver trim with the blue in it along here in this Eco model. And something they pick out and they promote on the website is the piano black finishes. And I think this adds a touch of class to the Corolla here, especially when you're in a car that is not even $25,000. I mean, the tested price point on this vehicle, if we take our cheat sheet, is $23,270, and you have the touch screens here, the 6.1 touchscreen, XM satellite radio, and you also have the option for the map car and the app suite that you can get in this car. So I can go to the navigation, and I can see I've got navigation right there, and you've got the complete Toyota app suite in this. So traffic and weather And you also have an Eco app, and it's going to show you all of your current and your average economy in this car. The Eco model will have a different 1.8 liter four-cylinder engine. It's going to have 140 horsepower as opposed to 132, and that comes from the Valve-O-Matic system they have in this, which is a variable valve timing system that allows you to get that 8 extra horsepower. It also lets you get about 1 to 2 miles per gallon better. 1 mile per gallon city and 2 better than the regular four-cylinder four-speed automatic or CVT, and even more than the four-cylinder four-speed automatic that you'll find in the very base Corolla. So this car will do 30 miles per gallon in town, and it'll do 40 on the freeway with a combined 34 mpg rating. Now, if you go down to the four-cylinder, like the Corolla S, and you're in the Sport package, or you go down to the four-cylinder LE, like we're in here, but without the Eco on it, you're going to have the four-cylinder without the Valve-O-Matic, but with the CVT in that model. And you'll see about 29 city on the regular four-cylinder with the CVT, and it's going to be 38 highway. There we go. And then a combined of 32, not 34. So as you can see, that was a long way of getting to the fact that it's a 1 to 2 mile per gallon better in this Eco edition. And the price is good, I think, at just over $23,000. And you have the new Toyota Softex, just like you're going to find in our review of the RAV4. Their point to this is, yes, it's a vinyl-like material, but it's more leather-like than previous materials. It's going to be stain resistant and water resistant, and I find it pretty comfortable. We do have power seats in this vehicle on the driver's side here with power mirrors. We don't have auto headlights, but we do have daytime running lights and fog lights. And something we have in this that we didn't see in some of the other vehicles that we've tested in this price point is we also have the cold weather package, where they have put the defrosters in the mirrors, which is nice. You also have a one-zone digital climate control, and I think that's a nice touch in this car because it just gives you that extra sense of value for the money. And then, of course, with the navigation and the app suite and everything, it's competing with other vehicles that are trying to be young and technology friendly, like the Kia Forte and the Hyundai Sonata. I think this Corolla competes well. It's not going to be, from a style perspective, as aggressive as a Forte, but I think it definitely competes with the Hyundai Sonata. You also have nice features in this, like the steering wheel controls for your stereo, your Bluetooth, and the monochrome trip computer. Now, I've kind of dinged Toyota on the analog. A lot of people are going to color displays in the dash, and they're still using a monochrome digital and analog display for everything. So you have an analog speedometer, analog RPM gauge, and your fuel gauge. But it is nice that you have those. Now, we just floored it from a stop there, and the thing I wanted to point out is that this car will go 0 to 60 faster than some of the competitors out there, but it is a CVT, but you might be noticing that it's actually shifting. It's actually not the type of CVT a lot of people are going to be used to. Toyota blended the CVT efficiencies you get with the need for a dynamic driving experience. So when you really get on it, it will give you red line in what feels like multiple gears, whereas most of the time it's just going to stay in a one kind of RPM power range around town. So it's really trying to give you the best of both worlds. It also has a sport mode in this Eco, which will make it a little bit more crisp, shift a little bit more aggressively, and you'll get that sportier feel. The detractor there is that there is no way to shift this car yourself. The only way you can downshift is to put it into the B mode all the way back here in the shift gate, and that is your brake mode. B stands for braking. And I had to get used to that when I drove the IQ because it had that same kind of transmission sense. To kind of give you an idea though, I really do like the way this vehicle drives. I find this is an enjoyable car, and remarkably, like the Sentra we tested, it has room for 6-foot passengers in the front seat and 6-foot passengers in the back seat, and a good sized trunk. So not only is it a nice car, it is a livable car in the compact car space, but that's also because it grew. It did grow by a couple inches in length and width. So this car, if it looks bigger and feels bigger to people who own current generation Corollas, it is. There's no getting around it. It did grow a little bit, but I find that it is easy to see out of. The only real blind spots you have in this car is over your right shoulder with that rear pillar, rear angle pillar, and the rear headrest. But it has a nice and crisp rear backup camera in this car, and it's one of the better backup cameras that we've come across in testing this sort of compact, I don't want to say entry-level segment, because there's a lot of technology features and luxury features in this Corolla, including the push-button start. So if you go and you look at the other reviews that we'll be posting soon on the Subaru Impreza Sport, you'll notice it is a key without a push-button start. You can see the key dangling when I'm doing the review. This is a smart key in this car, so you have the smart touch on the outside and the push-button start, and I like all of those features. Now you also have 2-stage heated seats in this car, and an easy to reach and find USB and aux port right here next to the heated seats and your power receptacle here in the just below the center stack. I guess the other thing I like about this car is I have it in eco mode, and I don't notice that I have it in eco mode, and that is exactly the way it should be. If you take this car out of eco mode, it becomes more lively, it becomes more performance oriented, but if you put it in eco mode for your daily driving, you still have good power, and if you really tromp on the accelerator, you're going to find that it works out well for you. It is going to give you the power that you want. Like, for example, if I stop here on this side road and then I go 1, 2, full gas, it takes off here, and that's in eco mode. I have it full eco mode. That's 50, that's 60. Okay, so that is good. Now what you're going to notice is at speed with the Toyota Corolla is that the steering is good. It has a good road holding sense, but it does get a little light in the front end when you're accelerating that hard because it is only front wheel drive. So keep that in mind, but I think the steering is nice. It's precise. I do like the center feel on this particular car. I think it has a nice sense about it. It's still light and it doesn't feel cumbersome by any sense. It's not weighty or anything. But when you go to turn in, you know, it doesn't have that ghosty sense in it, but it is on the lighter side still. It's usable and variable, I believe. So like when I come to a stop and I need to say, oh gosh, I missed that turn there, and then you go to turn, it has a nice sense to it, but it is, I think it's heavier than the some of the other cars we've tested from a stop. It definitely doesn't go super soft when you're in a parking mode. I mean, all in all, Toyota, I think, is looking to the future and trying to design cars that their fan base and their loyal buyers are really going to want. And I think this Toyota Corolla is going to do better than a lot of people expect, and I think it's a lot nicer than maybe some critics are giving it credit for. Motor Trend reviewed this car, and they said it is the most competitive Corolla to the Honda Civic that they have seen. Now, they still rate the Honda Civic higher, but what I know is that Toyota brand loyal people who like Toyotas, they're going to love this car, and they're going to choose to buy it over the Honda because it has a more reserved sense about it. It feels probably more familiar, and you know, it's been one of the best-selling compact cars around. So, well, that's the real video, the real review, and make sure you stay tuned for our future reviews.